What's going on, guys? This is Rappa back at the bench, and today I have a, I don't know, head-to-head and cutter carry review and me just rambling video for you looking at these two bug outs, the regular Benchmade classic bug out and the Benchmade mini bug out. So this has long been on the channel. I just switched the scales back. Woof. That is not a fun process. That was something really fun, and I forgot how much I absolutely hate that on these. But I just switched the scales back. But this has been a knife that I have carried for years, and am a really big fan of. Super lightweight. You all know it. It's one of the most well-known knives in the knife world. And then we have the somewhat newer, well, a lot newer, not new, but newer mini bug out. This is the Stormtrooper version, those white handles and black Cerakoted blade. So when this one was announced, I remember years ago, I remember thinking, why in the world would you need a mini bug out? The bug out itself is already super small and lightweight. Maybe not small, because it is a pretty average size and full size knife, but it is incredibly lightweight, just a few ounces, all really in that blade up there, because you don't really have much back here. And so it's pretty much as lightweight as you would ever need to get. And so I just remember thinking, like, why on earth would you need a mini version of that? You're not going to be able to hold it. It's just going to disappear. What's the point? And so I finally had a chance to pick up one of these used, and this was a while back, 6 months to a year ago probably, and I still have it. And so that should tell you something. And so I thought about, should I just do a review of the mini bug out? And when I started prepping for that without the larger bug out, I realized it's pretty much the exact same review as the larger bug out, because it's the same knife, just scaled way down. Same specs except for the size. S30V, Cerakoted blade, deep carry clip, axis lock, etc. Similar in weight and pretty much identical otherwise. And so I was like, well, there's really no point, because my conclusion is going to be basically the exact same as the bug out. So then I was like, well, I guess I should do a head-to-head of these two knives, because they are so similar. And then I thought, as I started to do that, well, I'm gonna have to exclude pretty much every category, besides maybe ergonomics and overall size, because it's the same knife. So this video is just my thoughts on the mini bug out and how it stacks up to the full size bug out after being a skeptic before I had it. And so forgive me for kind of breaking out of the norm with this video, but hopefully it will help you if you're trying to decide between these two knives. So first of all, just maybe a review on what I really like about the bug out, and just in general why this is a knife that has been in my collection for many years. You know, obviously the kind of the thing about the bug out is how lightweight it is. It is super lightweight. This is a knife you can wear in any type of pants, any type of occasion, bumming around the house or going out camping. This can really, I think, do it all. And I can already read the comments below saying, you know, how could you do any type of hard use with that Benchmade bug out flex that you have going on there? And I think that's ridiculous. So I'm not even gonna address that, but needless to say, I think this is a knife that can very well stand up to everyday use and pretty much, I would say, most of the use that we're giving knives. So it's super lightweight. You have tons of customization options available. Tons of people make aftermarket scales and parts and all that. Lots of different blade coatings and whatnot. And so it's just become kind of a staple of the knife community, and for good reason. This knife to me is the best because of the blade, which is just nearly the perfect blade for an everyday carry to me. It's just got everything. It's thin enough, slicey enough, but it's got a big enough belly. It's a great blade. And so I'm just a huge fan of this knife. Now, I am not the biggest fan of the Benchmade axis lock. While I do find it to be nice to use and operate, very smooth, it's neat. I do have some general Benchmade issues and some general axis lock issues in that I don't think they're going to be a super reliable lock over the lifetime of the knife because, and I'm not going to take it apart to show you, but because they're dependent on this very, very thin metal spring in there, and you would see that if you were to take the knife apart, but those break from time to time and they're a pain to replace. You have to, I think, pretty much get them from Benchmade. So it's like a proprietary part. It's gonna break on a $high knife. It's not gonna be warranted, I don't think, although I could be, well, I guess if you, anyway, warranty notwithstanding, that's just gonna be a hassle at some point. And they are really, 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 really annoying to take down and put back together. And there's really just one reason for that. I think it's the keyed pivot here that just seems to have trouble lining up. But so they're not super fun to disassemble. And I've also noticed that when I have disassembled, because this is an open lock mechanism, you get a lot of gunk kind of built up in the lock there. And so that is, to me, the primary disadvantage and issue I have. But otherwise, to me, this is nearly the perfect knife. I love it. And this has been definitely one that's in the pocket on the regular for several years now. And so those are all the reasons I love the Bugout. And so basically, those are all the reasons that I have loved the mini Bugout. And I've been really surprised to find that despite my initial thoughts that no one would need a mini version of a fairly lightweight knife, I almost prefer carrying the mini Bugout, because if I'm going to go with a lightweight knife like this, and I need a blade that can accomplish, typically, low-level everyday tasks, then this one, whose blade is not all that smaller, is going to basically do the exact same thing. And yet, I'm going to carry 1/2 inch to 1 inch less in knife in the pocket. And I thought, hey, the ergos are gonna be off. It's just gonna, the balance of the Bugout is already something that people debate about because it's so front heavy. But when I hold this knife, the Bugout here, I've got this kind of trailing pinky right up on this ramp coming up, and it's not uncomfortable, but it doesn't totally feel natural, and I'm getting a hot spot right here a little bit. And when I do the same thing on the mini Bugout, that finger is trailing off the back, and I'm not getting quite the same hot spot, about the same, but not quite. But I don't really notice a difference in ergonomics between the full-size Bugout and this mini Bugout. In fact, in some ways, sometimes the mini Bugout actually feels a little bit better and more controllable in the hand than the full-size. And so I was really, really surprised by this, because I really expected the mini version of a knife like this just would not work for me. And I found the exact opposite to be true. I almost prefer to have this in the pocket. Now, that leaves me in kind of a conundrum, because I don't need 2 of these. I'm not going to carry 2 of these. And if I'm being realistic about it, I probably will end up keeping the main Bugout. But I think that that's probably just for the channel, because it's such a staple, and because I really like this knife. I've had it for years. I don't really want to get rid of it. I do think 2 are probably redundant, and I thought at first, well, maybe I'll just hang on to both and there'll be different uses for each one, but there hasn't been at all. In fact, anytime that I've wanted to grab a Bugout, I've kind of gravitated towards this one just because it's a little bit smaller package and it'll just be a little bit more lightweight in the pocket. And so I can't think of any application where I would actually need the larger Bugout versus this one. And so to me, that makes this a home run. I have been very impressed with this knife. Now, I know the Bugout in general is fairly controversial, because some people love it, some people hate it. And so I'm sure this will just ramp that up, because the people who think that the Bugout is too flimsy and too small are definitely going to think that this thing is too flimsy and too small. But guess what? They're wrong, in my opinion at least. I think this is an awesome knife, and I'm going to be fairly conflicted about if I want to sell it. The Stormtrooper look is not my thing. I think it looks cool. It's not really my style in terms of what I carry. So if I do sell it, that may be the only reason. But man, what a cool knife. Hopefully this has been helpful in some ways if you're trying to decide between these two knives. If I were buying them from scratch, I think if I were to see that the aftermarket support for the mini Bugout was as good as the Bugout, I would get the mini Bugout. I think if you want to do tons of customizations and that kind of thing, and probably get a better price just with the number of them going around, I might go for the Bugout. Either way, I don't think you're going to lose because I think these are awesome knives and I'm a big fan. So hopefully that's been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.